Welcome again to Dave Blaze. And fascinating. Everybody was fascinated last week talking
Yeah.
about quantum computers. Well, it's moved on. Come on, time travel. Is that just imagination?
Well, time travel, like we see in the movies, is imagination right now. But what the quantum engineers and quantum scientists are doing is they are, the White House put out that post. The Trump White House put out that post that Q is for quantum, right? Not quantum financial system or quantum whatever, nothing to do with those scams.
Yeah.
But when it comes to quantum computing and quantum technology, what these scientists have done is they've actually utilized the laws surrounding quantum physics by introducing a time loop. And it's a very complicated thing. We have a big article out in the Dispatch, and we'll have a video up from George later on today. But here's basically what it is. When connected to, to a hologram, to a 6G hologram, you can actually it's as if, let's say you spilled coffee out of your mug, right? The mug tips over, the coffee spills everywhere. With the laws of quantum physics, they can turn that backwards
Oh,
and actually have the coffee go back into the mug and the mug stand back upright. See, the problem has always been with time travel is the grandfather problem, right? That you could go back in time and meet your grandfather, and then all of the uh, time things get all screwed up. But by abiding by the laws of quantum physics, that doesn't happen.
well, hang on. I mean, an example.
I know it
So,
sounds like crazy talk, doesn't it?
well, it is. I mean, somebody spilt on one of my computers a cup of tea,
Right.
and the wretched keyboard doesn't work now. So I can reverse that a month ago.
Right. So in other words, what would be possible? No, no, it wouldn't be like a month ago, but let's say this happened within the hour. If you were in a quantum lab per se, you could reverse that.
Oh my goodness me.
Yeah, without it affecting anybody else's timelines, right? So that would be like an outside instance.
Is this here now or is it just in the future?
No, it's here now. It's all being done now. Of course, right now it's all being done in quantum labs, right? So it's not like general public stuff, or even, or even like how people like to think there's a secret cabal or whatever. No, nobody has. This is just being done. Actually, it's being done in IBM quantum computing labs.
Silicon
Yes,
Valley is ahead of the Far East, is it on this?
yeah. IBM is the leader when it comes to quantum computing, and there's no one even close. Now, of course, the Chinese will say, well, the Chinese are crazy. They'll tell you every year that their economy is growing 10, 20, 30%, and it's none of their numbers are true. Anything that's coming out of China, you got to go, oh, okay.
Yeah, well, I'll buy that. Listen, the gold standard to move on.
Yeah.
Now, it's not what it was. We all like to see gold bars in a vault, but what's going wrong?
Well, okay. So you understand why not only the United States, but the rest of the world moved away from the gold standard. And of course, the conspiracists thought it was because, oh, they're going to just print money out of thin air. And so, no. it's because there's too much manipulation with gold. In other words, if any country that has more gold, their currency has a greater value. So then what you start doing is you start having nations that manipulate the system with manufacturing and so on. Then all of our goods and services go out the gold is like, yeah, it's like going back to the Stone Ages. It's never going to happen. And the people that think that we're going to have gold-backed currency, this is the right way to go, they're crazy. It's societal suicide. And the reason for that is, and the reason that there's so many other nations that would love to see the United States go onto the gold standard, is because our dollar is the reserve currency. And our dollar is the greatest product on earth right now. Every nation buys our dollar. So what they would love to see us do is literally stop making the dollar and link ourselves to gold again. It's crazy. Never going to happen. It's a scam.
Let's talk about a third world nation, let's say Africa, South America, and suddenly they find a mega deposit of gold.
Right.
Now, is it worth anything? Is it worth less than the dollar?
It's not a matter of is it worth less than the dollar. It's a matter of it's another commodity. It's like if they found diamonds or if they found uranium, right? It's another commodity. So whereas the dollar is a currency that nations buy in order to trade oil, and it's based on the value of our dollar is not just limited to how much gold we have, because the United States holds more gold than any other nation, but it's valued at not only our gold but our silver, all of our precious minerals, our rare earth minerals, our oil, our people, our land, etc. All of the assets of the United States backs that dollar. Plus, we have a stable government. We're not having elections. We're not having 7, 8, 9, 10 elections for president every few years, like some nations.
7 out of 10. That's the figure, and counting.
Right. So we have a stable government. We have a lot of resources. We have a lot of wealth, and all of that backs the dollar. And people know that, okay, if we keep the dollar in the vaults, the value isn't going to go up and down like crazy. It's going to be stable.
So therefore, if somebody discovers a whole load of gold in their country, that will water down the value of gold worldwide.
Of course.
Because it's a traded commodity.
Right. Right. If all of a sudden they found a huge vein and a huge deposits of gold, the value of gold will drop because there'll be more gold on the market.
Now, you are into digital currency. And
yes.
There again, it's like quantum. Does it exist? Doesn't it exist? Dave, people don't understand it. That's why it's dodgy.
I know. They don't understand it. Well, okay. Right now, every transaction that you make, digital currencies, cryptocurrencies are involved. For example, the FedNow program utilizes digital currency in settling transactions. What is happening right now, as a matter of fact, is that Ripple and the XRP ledger are Ripple is embedding the XRP into transactions globally. And this is believe it or not, this is with the assistance of JP Morgan. So even though the banks are acting like they don't like the Clarity Act, they're utilizing cryptocurrencies in everyday transactions. So we put out at georgemagazine.com, we put out an ebook that you can have instant access to. It's downloadable. It's the Cryptocurrency Playbook, and you can download it right away. And it gives you a step-by-step guide into the world of crypto, and it's very easy to understand. You can get your copy, get it instantly, and start learning about what's coming, because these digital currencies are a part of the financial system. They're not replacing the financial system. They're an integral part of it now.
Now, there's lots of types of investment. Some
Yes.
of them are clear and tangible. Others are not. Futures trading, which is gambling, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah,
But it can yield a
I
lot.
don't imbibe. I don't imbibe with futures and options and all of that stuff. If I see, I like to buy stock in companies that I use every day. For example, I have my Google phone, I use Gmail, I use Google Docs, and so on. So I own Google stock. I use Q-tips and soap and shampoo, all made by Johnson and Johnson. So I own Johnson and Johnson. So you see where I'm going with this?
Yeah, don't use the baby powder, you'll get
Don't
cancer.
use the baby powder, right? But the thing is that what I'm not doing is betting that Johnson and Johnson stock goes up, 2 points by Thursday. I know a lot of people out there that do, but that's like I feel that's throwing money in the street.
Yeah, before we go, I'm going to scare you. You scared me, so I'm going to scare you and
Okay.
tell you what's happened in Europe.
Okay.
And this is unbelievable. Now, in the United Kingdom, we're supposed to be out of Europe, but the
Right.
tendrils are there, and especially with the present government, we
Right.
don't notice much difference. Now, the thing that most ordinary
Right.
people, thinking people, have always said, hang on, let's get out of Europe. It's not democratic, and it isn't. Because what happens, you have MEPs that go from every country out of 28 countries, and they vote. But they've got no power. Illustrated today, the Commission controls us. The big controller controls us, and that are various commissioners at the top. And somebody had the bright idea to let Google, Microsoft, etc., supply information that they've got stored in their clouds. And it has to be passed to the Commission, the European Union Commission. And there's no control. And hang on, the MEPs said, can't have that. Even from the lefty countries. And fine, an important freedom of speech item was put on hold. No, because behind the scenes, you've got to get at least 50% to win a vote or to influence a vote.
All right, I don't understand what you mean. So Google, Microsoft, they supplied information to the
The
commission.
deal is that the EU has done a deal with the biggies, the big boys,
Okay.
saying that if we want information,
All right, hold on. Help me understand. So these commissions are in Brussels.
exactly,
Okay, and they're looking for information on who?
anybody at all that they can want to control or any company. So, in other words, if number 10 Downing Street in Great Britain, the Prime Minister wants some information on an individual, it is stored in various clouds.
Of course.
And the agreement is that they've got to release the information.
Well, if they have if there's a court order to do so.
No, doesn't need that. It comes over. So they can control anybody and any company. So the
Okay, and
MEPs,
I would assume they're doing this through the use of fines and limitations placed on Google and Microsoft. So in other words, if Google and Microsoft want to sell their services in Europe, then they have to agree to this draconian commission nonsense.
yes, the overlord. So they voted against it. And a week later, oh, golly gosh, it's gone through. What's happened is that the commission has decided to increase the level from 50% to 60%. And about 58% voted against it, a majority. But the commission behind the door, behind the scenes, saw fit to win this by moving the goalposts. Now, there's no democracy in Europe. It's truly awful. Look, think of the States. That would never happen through the politics in the States.
No. Here in the States, I have to tell you, Google and Microsoft fight to outdo each other on how they will not turn over information on anyone. I mean, they brag about it.
Yeah.
Oh, we got a court order. We got a request for this. We're fighting that. I'm telling you, the two companies and Apple, forget about it. Apple's like a vault. You can't get anything out of them. But see, when these multinational corporations want to do business in Europe, and they could have a very big footprint in Europe, this is what the draconian commissions there in Brussels will do. So in other words, anyone on the commission can request information from Google or Microsoft on anybody.
Yes.
Without cause.
No,
they have to
exactly. Yeah. That is frightening. That is control, because that's what they want.
Yeah, because they'll use it on political opponents.
Exactly.
Their mother-in-law that they don't like.
Listen, I've said that this is the last thing, actually. We've got to mention before we go about Russia losing interest in the Arctic Circle.
Yes.
Now that's important. Go on, what's the byline there?
Well, the byline there is that they don't have the men. They've lost in this ongoing nonsense with Ukraine. See, Putin thought that they would go in and they would take Ukraine in a couple of days, knock out their grid, and just march right in and take them over. Well, that didn't happen, and it's been going on. Rodney, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it's going on 5 years now.
Yep, it's 4 and a bit. That's true.
So you have hundreds of thousands of dead Russians. They just don't have the personnel or the equipment to maintain their presence in the Arctic Circle anymore. I mean, it's really, as a matter of fact, they just did some kind of a celebration over there in Russia where they normally like celebrating the submarines or the Navy. So instead of having the, like they usually have, the battleships pass in front of Putin and all of that, all I had was a big poster of a submarine. That was it.
Now, does this mean that that Donald will not be interested in Greenland?
Oh, no, he's still interested in Greenland. I mean, for the life of me, I can't understand why Denmark claims Greenland. I just don't get that. They don't do it. Do they do anything for the people of Greenland?
No, they cause confusion,
right?
Frankly. And when the odd Greenlander comes over to Denmark, they treat their children a bit differently a bit easier going than the Danish. And they've taken whole families from the Greenlanders that have come over and put them into social services to look after them. Now, that could mean that they leave them out in the cold. Well, you can't do that in Greenland. You're probably used to it. But they have backed off that because they have realized there are different cultural problems here.
Yeah.
But that's going in again, the great overlord. We know best. We know how to control you and your children. Sorry, you don't.
Yeah. Yeah. I know. Well, this European thing goes back to the Habsburgs, and their dynasties. That's still at play over there in Europe. Believe it or not, even though everybody likes to think they have democrat republics, but no, that's the monarchs are still really in control.
Lastly, I keep saying lastly, but there's breaking news. Poland have just passed a law saying their guards on the border are able to shoot anybody coming over the illegally. Now, transfer your thoughts to Britain when everybody comes in, usually by little dinghy boats. They say we have a right to defend our country. You are illegal. There are ways into our country if you're genuinely fleeing another country's
Right.
regime. Shoot them. Oh dear, bit strong, isn't it?
Yeah, but isn't that more referring to their fear of a Russian invasion?
No, I thought that. They don't want, as other countries are changing their mind, especially Germany, what's happened in the last
Yeah.
2 or 3 days. And we don't
Yeah.
want illegal Iranians who are infiltrating Britain in the
Yeah.
country, but Britain welcomes them in. Poland says, if you come in illegally, you'll be shot.
Well, I'm sure they're not actively shooting people at their border. You know what I mean? They're not going to, but if somebody is obviously trying to infiltrate or looks dangerous or fires at them, this gives the border patrol clearance to defend themselves.
Very possibly. I
As is
thought
not the as is not the as is not the typical European thinking.
no, I thought they brought the Donald over and he'd taken over. We gotta go for the fourth time.
All
Thank you,
right.
Dave.
All right, Rodney. I'll see you next time.